All right, guys, this is Normal Central coming back at you with another YouTube video, and I really appreciate all the love and support so far that you've shown on all my videos. I've had a lot of engagement the last couple of videos that I've had, so just keep up that great work that we go through and everything, and hit the like button. It's completely free. Let's try to get this video up to 80 likes today if we can. It is about another prospect that Florida State is going after at this point, a little bit newer of a name, but we'll kind of get into it as we go. And I'm going to also be able to address some of the concerns that some people are having so far with everything that's going on and just some of the recruiting updates that we have for the 24 class. But let's go ahead and start here. This is a very interesting topic that a lot of Florida State fans are kind of wondering about, and that's about Gregory Smith III. He is a three-star athlete out of Sumner High in Riverview, Florida, and he is a guy that Florida State is going after on the defensive back position. And you look at that and you're saying, oh gosh, does that mean that KJ Bolden and also Charles Lester and Jalewis Solomon, those guys are not really interested in Florida State? What is happening in that regard? And you look at it, Patrick Surtain is a figurehead for Florida State in terms of the defensive backs coach. And he does have three defensive backs committed to the recruiting class right now for Florida State. You have CJ Hurd, you have Rodarius Morgan as well. And then you also have Ricky Knight III, which is very important because you have those three guys in the fold right now. You're probably going to have 5 or 6 defensive backs in this class. And Gregory Smith is one of those guys at 6'3" and a half, 190 pounds. He's a guy that Florida State really, really likes. He played quarterback last year. He was actually the starter for Sumner High and actually played pretty decent. I mean, he had 1,423 yards, 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He also had 787 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. He's going to play a little bit more defensive back this year. I project him more as a safety more than anything because of his size and skill set. Think about an Ashwin Barker, for example. They took a chance on him, and it's going to be kind of a guy that they develop later on in his career. Hopefully by year 2 or year 3, could be a really, really good get for Florida State just in terms of just development and what he brings to the table. Now, he did announce a top 5 schools list this morning where he had Florida State, Ole Miss, South Florida, Northern Illinois, and Howard. Those are the 5 schools he's going to be focusing on a little bit later. And he did announce on Twitter that he is announcing his commitment on August the 1st. Like I said, that brings a lot of red flags to what it brings. And Gregory Smith, with his announcement on August the 1st, that does not mean that Florida State is cooling on Lester or Bolden or Lewis or Solomon Lewis as well. And I think this is a situation where Florida State can really get involved with this prospect and get a solid guy that they project at a high level. Now, granted, KJ Bolden is been crystal ball to Georgia, but Florida State is very, very confident they're able to get him. I know a lot of people are freaking out about Charles Lester because I had actually had in a previous video, should they worry about Colorado in this recruitment? And I said no at the time, and I'm still back in that situation where I don't really think they need to worry too much about that. Maybe something changes with the visit as we go, but this visit's been planned for quite some time. He's kind of communicated with the coaching staff that he understands that he's visiting there at that point. The 4 crystal balls that Florida State has so far, that hasn't changed either. Nobody's changed crystal balls or anything like that. So Florida State is sitting in a good position for Lester, sitting in a decent position for Bolden. We'll see how that goes. And with Solomon, you're kind of having to figure out where he's going to go because, I think that last visit is going to be utilized on either Auburn or South Carolina at this point. It's kind of looking a little murky a little bit with his August 5th kind of decision date kind of lingering around after Florida State was named his number 1 school. It's going to be kind of weird. So, does that mean that Smith is kind of that replacement option? Maybe they just don't feel great about Solomon and we're going to have to kind of migrate in that direction. Could possibly be so. I mean, you look at some of the defensive backs that are going to be losing after the season. You got a Jerry and Jones that's leaving. You also have Renardo Green that's leaving as well. Akeem Dent is also another factor at the safety position that you're losing also. And not to mention that you're going to have to replace the likes of this season for Jamie Robinson, who went to the NFL and is with the Panthers right now. So really, when you're looking at all that, I do think that Gregory Smith would be a solid get for Florida State, a development project that you can kind of work on as we go through. And you also have to think about this too. A 25 offensive lineman prospect, his high school teammate, Zaire Addison, is a guy that Atkins actually really likes in the 25 class. The 25 class is loaded with offensive linemen targets that Florida State's going to potentially be able to get. With that, if you're able to get Smith into the class, they are really, really close together in just terms of, communication and everything like that. maybe it might be a way to get Addison in the class as well for the 25 class. That would be amazing to be able to get him in there as well because he's an offensive tackle prospect that Florida State cannot miss on in terms of that. But just looking at it overall, I do definitely think that Gregory Smith is a guy that Florida State can be able to get if they like him. Now, he is going to be coming in the recruiting event this upcoming weekend. That's kind of the last thing in the evaluation period that Florida State's going to have to go through. If they like his skill set and like his frame, everything checks out perfectly, then I do think that Smith could have a great chance in being a null at this point. And everybody kind of looks at that and says, "Oh gosh, another 3-star." We have so many 3-stars on the roster, and this is not how you develop talent. I hear the comments. I hear it all the time. I get it. I understand. Florida State, after generating a 10-3 season, should be getting 5 and 4 stars. But Gregory Smith is a solid prospect, an interesting prospect at that, because I do think his skill set and his frame can actually develop into something special. You can be able to take chances on some of those defensive backs, especially when you have a new coach that's trying to kind of develop his skill set and game plan into everything. You kind of need to see where you're at. But man, Florida State is able to get Lester and Smith and kind of build off of that. And you have 5 defensive backs in the fold, and maybe you still kind of communicate with Lester or with Bolden and kind of see where everything goes. That would be massive. Or even if you get Bolden, Lester, and Smith, ooh, that would be a very, very scary proposition for Florida State, especially battling the likes of Georgia, Alabama, Colorado, all those schools for both of those prospects. I think is very important going forward there. But I think Florida State sits in a pretty good spot with Gregory Smith as of right now. If he does come in this weekend and they do like what they see, I definitely expect that this could be a firework type of situation for Florida State as he comes closer to his decision on August the 1st. But he did able to get his first offer from Florida State back on June the 21st after our camp event, and they loved what they saw. So I definitely think that Gregory Smith can be that type of player. He's got to continue to develop as his senior year goes through, work a little bit more at the defensive back position, which I think he will do. Maybe he might take a little bit of the quarterback duties off. But overall, I do like the prospect that Gregory Smith is, and I don't think it has anything to do with Lester or Bolden or how they feel about Solomon as well. But I really appreciate all the love and support as always. Be sure to follow my Instagram and also my Twitter account. I do a lot of content on those accounts each and every day. I also have a Facebook as well if you want to follow me on there. I try to do the best I can to get to all 3 platforms. It's a lot of work trying to navigate through all those platforms, but I really appreciate all the love and support that you guys show me each and every day. And I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of the day. And as always, go Noles.